I'm going to do a two-part message between this week and next week, and I've titled it, Who Touched Me? Who Touched Me? And this is part one of Who Touched Me, and my subtitle for this is Those Who Take From Us. Those who take from us. I was preparing this message really as part of the principles of gathering, and so a couple of weeks ago I started developing it, but I just felt it didn't fit into the series properly, so I determined that I would do it a little separately. So it's still under the theme of gathering, but a little differently. And we're going to look at a very popular scripture, very familiar. And most of the time we preach from it and look at it as a story of faith and how to receive from God. And of course, myself, I've preached on that from that perspective. But I'm going to look at that verse a little differently, not in the traditional way we've looked at the verse. And we're going to look at the story of the woman with the issue of blood. And today we'll focus on him, and next week we'll focus on Jesus. And we're going to look at this interface between the woman and Jesus, and a couple of things that I believe we should all learn from it. So we're going to look at it a little differently. Mark's Gospel and chapter number 5 and verses 25 to 31. Mark chapter 5, 25 to 31. Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years and has suffered many things from many physicians. She has spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "If only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to him, "You see the multitude thronging you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And we know the rest of the story. The woman came up and confessed and declared that, of course, she had been touched by Jesus. Now, usually, and rightly so, we look at this verse or this passage and we see how to break through obstacles, press against resistance in order to touch Jesus and receive from him. And that is rightly so because the story speaks of that. But as I said, I will apply this a little differently from the way it has been seen traditionally. So let's start with a statement the woman made that tells us the motive behind her actions. She says, "If only I may touch his clothes." She believed that touching the clothes of Jesus will solve a major problem that she had. Of course, Jesus had a reputation as a healer. His ministry as a healer was very prominent. People knew him as somebody who healed people. And so this woman, based on the reputation of Jesus and based on what was going on in her life, just said, "If only I can touch the clothes of Jesus, I will be made well." So 3 things I want you to note. First is that this woman had a great need. She was in a very desperate condition. She was sick and she was getting worse. And the Bible says that the sickness, this particular sickness, was draining blood from her. She was losing blood for 12 years. And that's not an easy thing. to go through. And not only that, she was losing money because she'll go to the hospital or she'll be recommended for help, and there will be no help. So by this time, not only has she lost a lot of blood, she's almost lost everything that she owned. So you would say that she has a great need and she is desperate. The second thing we would note about this woman is that she got close to Jesus. She determined to get close to Jesus. And in spite of all her weaknesses and the obstacles, she pressed to get close to Jesus. And she was thinking of getting close to Jesus in order to get help. She was not thinking of getting close to Jesus to serve Jesus. She was not thinking of getting close to Jesus to know more about Jesus. She wanted to get close to Jesus because that will solve her problem. It's a very interesting perspective of somebody wanting to get close to somebody else for her own benefit and not seeking anything for the person she wants to get close to. Third thing you would notice is that she had an agenda. So this is getting close with an agenda. She said to herself, if I touch the hem of his garment or his clothes, I shall be made whole. So every part of this agenda is aimed at the woman's well-being and not of Jesus. And in a sense, we can all identify with this woman. When you have a great need and life is difficult, whatever that problem is, and you want to get help, you do everything you can to get help. And that's what she's doing here practically. And she wanted to touch the clothes of Jesus. It's a very strong desire. When a desperate and needy person gets to know where solution is, they do everything they can to get to where the solution is. So, for example, if you are rich or have some financial means and people are desperately in need, sometimes they do everything possible to get close to you. In our part of the world, in Ghana, if you are in a very advantaged position, whatever that advantaged position is, and people think you hold the solution to their problems, they don't care what it takes, they will get close to you. That's what this woman is doing. She has to get close to Jesus. She has to break through protocol and get close to Jesus. You know, sometimes for people who have money, you wake up in the morning and people have been lining up in front of your house since 3 a.m. because they believe that if they may but enter your house, they will be made whole. Even when you are a pastor, sometimes people believe that. If only I will come, pastor will pray for me, I'll be made whole. And they will do everything to get close to you. When I was a young pastor, I didn't know any better. Later, I changed the rules. But most times, people come to the house, sometimes midnight, and they'll come with all kinds of problems. And they will come in the midnight, they will come and bang on your door. Pastor, I need help, I need help, I need help. In the morning, people are in the house, and they don't care that you're married, they don't care that you have children, they don't care that you have needs, you don't care that you also need help. All they want is, if I may but touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. That's the agenda. It's not for you, not for your well-being. It's so they can get healed. And so that's the angle I want to bring to this story. So what is a touch? When this woman says, if I can touch, what does she mean? A touch can mean two things. First, it means contact. It's a point of meeting. I need to meet this person. I need to meet Jesus Christ. So she wants to make contact. But not only contact, a touch also is a connection, a point of exchange. A connection means that something is going to leave somewhere to go somewhere. So this is the setup I want you to have in mind. Of course, we know that she's acting in faith, and of course, we know that she later got healed. But for a moment, just forget about all of that. This is somebody in desperate need who wants a solution. And as I look at this subject, especially in terms of gathering, you realize people who have spent time building whatever they have built. Maybe they've built wealth. Maybe they've built a good reputation. Maybe they've built a profession. Maybe they've built a business. Maybe they've built a marriage. Whatever they've built, there are always people who think, if I can get to that person, he or she will solve my problems. And their intention to get to you is to draw something from you to help them, and never think about whether after you solve their problem, they will still have anything left. So let's look at what the woman did. 3 things that she did. First, she acted secretly. She touched Jesus secretly. She moved quietly, unnoticed. No one paid attention to what she was doing. And she made a demand on Jesus without telling him what she was doing. So here is Jesus. And somebody has an agenda to take from him without telling Jesus, I need help from you. You know, most times in the Bible, people who came to Jesus announced their need. Lord, I'm blind. Lord, help me. Lord, heal me. And then Jesus would heal them. This one didn't tell Jesus anything. She's coming secretly to draw. So that's the first thing we see, that she's acting secretly. Second thing, she siphoned power from Jesus. She took from Jesus without asking permission. That's a serious thing. She drew power from Jesus. It cost Jesus, and it took something from Jesus, but she never asked permission. Forget about the fact that she got healed. But think about it, that somebody is taking from you without permission. It helps them, but they never had the courtesy to ask you for help. She siphoned power out of Jesus. Now I want you to think of this. What is happening at this time when this woman is on the scene? At this time, there is a man called Jairus. This man called Jairus came to Jesus and said to Jesus, my daughter is at the point of death. She is sick. Come and heal my daughter. So the reason why Jesus is on this journey is because a desperate father says, my daughter needs help. Come and help her. And Jesus is on the way to go and heal Jairus' daughter. This woman is not in the plan. I know for us who like buga things, this is very appealing because, we want to take it by force. But I want you to think about it from more a human point of view. The agenda of Jesus, I'm going to Jairus' house. The daughter is desperately sick. She's on the point of death. Then this woman intrudes in this process, doesn't think about Jairus, doesn't think about Jairus' daughter. She just says, if I may but touch the hem of his garment, I may be made whole. So she comes through the crowd and she touches Jesus and Jesus stops. Now, normally when we read the Bible, it could be a verse or a sentence, so we think it took 2 minutes. But when Jesus said, who touched me, I don't think it was a 1 minute thing. I'm sure it took some time, probably 30 minutes, trying to find out who touched me. And this conversation is going on. So Jesus has stopped. He's no longer going to Jairus' daughter's house. And the interesting thing is that whilst they were there debating who touched me, message came from Jairus' house that the girl is dead. Of course, Jesus has unlimited power. So he still has power to go and heal Jairus' daughter. But I want you to imagine, what if this was a doctor? Somebody has come to get the doctor. My child is sick. He packs medical bag, whatever they pack, and he's going to help the sick person. And then somebody interferes in the process. She treats the sick person with the medicine that is supposed to heal the other one. So this one gets healed and that one is not healed. Because it tells us sometimes that when people desperately need help, they become very insensitive to anything else. They don't care about anybody else.
We've come to the end of this video. We believe you've been blessed. Remember, God's love is steadfast and unchanging. May His grace and peace be with you always. If you're new here, consider subscribing to stay up to date with our videos. Kindly share this video with your friends and families. You can watch this next video on your screen.